Dan, I got you stuff from PAX.
You did?
Yeah.
What is it?
Well, don't do it.
Oh, cool.
No, what are you doing? You're disrespecting things.
Omar?
Yeah.
Can you tell me how a webcomic became a giant convention thing?
No, I cannot. You're talking about PAX, I assume.
Yes.
But there is someone here that probably can.
Tina?
Tina.
Don't look at me. Ask this guy.
You're the cosplay person?
I don't know how a webcomic became a big, you know, PAX East, PAX West type of deal.
West Side.
West Side.
All right, Rob. What the hell is PAX
What
and
the heck-
why is it a thing?
What the heck is PAX and why is it a thing? So PAX, if you're not familiar, there is a...
We are not.
That's rather unfortunate. There is a comic called Penny Arcade.
Oh,
and
we know
we've
that.
all read Penny
Yeah.
Arcade, right? Started by two guys named Jerry and Mike, whose personas, avatars if you will, are Tycho and Gabe. They're gamers, and they just simply talk about gaming things as they come up. It's like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And this is one of the first super successful, as in like they quit their jobs to run this webcomic. There's some others like PvP and some others that are super Control-Delete that are also popular at the same time. But these guys, they did very well with the comic, and it's well drawn. It's very pertinent. There's been some controversy, so some of things. So
how did that webcomic get a video game series and then eventually a convention?
So the comic, super successful, and they decided to do something called Child's Play, and this is really cool. Every Christmas-ish, they collect money, they collect toys, they collect games and donations to give out to kids so they have something for Christmas. Usually focus on gaming, tabletop gaming or whatever. But
I do have a question about that. Like, so they buy a kid like Super Mario Odyssey, and the kid's like, "Fuck, I don't have electricity. How am I going to do this? Because I'm poor."
it's not just that, but think along like the ancient
That, by the way, that
traditions.
happened to me
Yeah,
as a kid, so I know.
You know?
I would get Nintendo games on an Atari 7800. You know,
What am I supposed to do with this?
the church gave it to us, so I'm not gonna be a dick. Anyway, go ahead.
So because they had so many followers, like millions and millions of followers, and Child's Play was really popular, they were like, okay, I want to go to an gaming focus only expo, and such a thing like E3 sort of a thing, and
But E3 isn't open to the public.
Right, it's more for vendors.
right. So these guys wanted to go to a video games focused event, and such a thing doesn't really exist for the public. So they were like, let's just make it. So they created the first Penny Arcade Expo, and they're based in Seattle, Washington. That's the right. Is that the right state?
That's the state, yes.
Thank you. So they're based in there, and they had this thing, Penny Arcade Expo, and it was successful. A few thousand people showed up, and they started doing it more regularly, and the numbers elevated to the tens of thousands.
What year was that when they first did the first one?
Early 2000s, like 2004, something like that.
Okay.
So after a while, they're like, hey, because Seattle's all the way on the West Coast, so we should have another one on the East Coast. So they had opened up something called PAX East, and it also had tens of thousands of people show up. Like, this is a great idea. So these things are getting bigger and bigger, and then they decided to have another one in San Antonio.
Texas.
Yeah, to Texas. PAX South. Then they have another one in Australia. PAX Australia, not that.
PAX really south.
PAX really south.
What state is that in?
The state of Australia.
The far deep south.
So you got to go. Was this your first time going to a
So
Penny
I have
Arcade?
always wanted to go to a Penny Arcade. The closest one would have been PAX East. Oh, and PAX, the original one, used to be called PAX Prime, but that's offensive and racist, so they now changed it to PAX West.
Somebody needs to tell Optimus that.
That's racism.
Wait, why is that offensive and racist?
Because like that implies that the others aren't as good as the one in the West.
How did you make that racist?
Because that's racism. They're all as good as all each other.
Jesus.
So PAX, it's not PAX
That's
Prime, it's PAX West.
elitist.
Elite.
The word you meant to use there was elitist.
Now that is racist of you to tell me what elitist means.
I'm pretty sure you mean primist.
Well, that's just prime.
So initially it was just a bunch of gamers showing up and showing off like their tabletop games, their classic games, kind of like the Louisville Arcade Expo that we have, right?
Well, I got an idea. While you talk about it, why don't you show us?
It has grown to where it was, like I said, initially it was just like, you know, tabletop games and people bringing their game systems, and LAN parties are a big thing. Everyone bringing their computers in and actually playing like multiplayer
like Halo
gameplay. Yeah,
and
Halo.
everything.
It's a
Halo's a
long
big
way
one.
to fly up on a plane with your computer. Oh, laptop stuff. Okay.
Yes. Oh, I mean, you can bring it. Actually, people did bring their giant gaming rigs with flashing lights and things like that. But it's gotten bigger and bigger, and there's enough like momentum and enough attendees there where like real game companies show up, like Nintendo and Capcom or whatever, Microsoft, and like the actual vendors show up and like show off games and stuff. It's really big and huge.
Rooster Teeth show up every year at East, don't they?
Yes, they sure do. So this is the first time I've ever got a chance. I wanted to go to a PAX since forever, and this is the first time I've gone to PAX South. There are only like 60,000 people there, which again, you have to think about this. Holy cow, there's 60,000. That's a lot of freaking people.
For 3 days?
3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And so a bunch of people show off their indie games. There's panels for gamers, including developers and things like that, to show you about like games. There's, again, as I said, there's tabletop games, there's card games, there's a tournament they call the Omegathon, where there is some game that they've chosen. This year they chose, or for PAX South, they chose Super Smash Brothers. So all throughout the whole conference, like random people are like playing this game, and then at the very end, they have the big ultimate face-off.
Did you participate?
No, I'm pretty good at Smash, but I'm not at tournament level of Smash. After the main convention is over, they have like musicians and things like that, like MC Frontalot's there, if you're familiar with like his music, chip tunes and things like that. It's a great freaking show. You, Dan.
Yes, Rob.
You still collect pins, is that correct?
I collect all the pins.
He has
all
to
the
run
Chip
for
and
them,
Dale.
though. Do they have a PAX marathon that he could run to get a pin? That he could later buy at a Goodwill?
Well, you can run. There's like plenty of trail paths to run. So I brought some of these samples from Penny, with an I, Penny Arcade, and they got into this a couple of years ago, where these are, at first, they were like, Tycho and Gabe's like characters were merchandising, like, they have like some of the characters as t-shirts and things like that, and then there were pins. But the pins, if you pick one up and look at it, it's a high quality pin. And no, not that one! Yeah, that's fine. And it's a high quality pen, and then some of these vendors decide to get in on the action too. So these are officially licensed Nintendo pens. Like this one that's on here, this Mario.
What's a pen like that cost? Like $2?
Not even close. 15 bucks.
$15 fucking dollars for a pen?
15. And also at every show they always have a special edition pen, like the one that you're holding. So that pen is like $20, but it's a bit more construction, and they are super limited. They only make so many, and after that, that is it. You're not going to get. They are only available at this show. Are you putting it on your eBay as we speak?
I'm just amazed that you found a place that charges more for collectible pins than
Disney. That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
Disney pins are like 10 to
$10 to
bucks.
$15.
$10, yeah. I'm pretty sure Zelda here was $15, and I think this thing was $20-some.
And they're only exclusive like for the show, during the show.
Yeah, it says Penny Arcade in the back,
In
so
the year.
Penny Arcade incorporated in the
URL
year.
on it. Can I go to that URL and buy pins?
Wouldn't that be funny if you could? I think for these, no. These are only available at the show. These you might be able to get on the
I'm
Penny
gonna try to
Arcade
break
show.
his heart here.
No, please. Please break my heart.
I found this from a Chinese shop for $1.50.
So, so the pin culture at these shows is really cool. So there's
And
people.
it's explosive recently.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people collect pins now.
So in addition to like buying these, there's also like guys that are hanging out, guys and gals hanging out.
Oh, doing the Disney thing?
The
Like,
Disney thing where you can trade
I
pins.
got-
So I didn't realize this was a thing until Dan and I had like, here's my
I got
pins.
pins.
So
Oh, that's what you're showing?
Yeah.
what are you doing? Your armpit
I'll
hair?
trade you a booby for some pins.
Here's
Deal.
I don't think that's how it works.
So cool pins to trade at the place. Games to sell. Yes. So you're a collector and a nerd and a horrible person, and you will love 2 out of 3 bad.
1 out of those is not bad. Yes, I am a collector.
So vendors are there, like like our guys at Game King.
Limited run games are there.
Limited run
I
games
know
are
they
there, so
usually
they
do
have like
they do exclusive covers for some of these games. Like I know over there, like they did E's exclusive cover. E's Origins, right?
yeah, East Origins were there.
Indeed.
Two Mello, who does our soundtrack, they had his 2064 game, all 3 covers there, and I picked one of those up. So limited run games.
You get that signed.
I saw him the other day. I should have like hey, sign this.
You should
I
have
should have had him
gotten
sign it.
He just did a Jet Set Radio remix.
Yes, he
which is
did.
Which was
amazing.
#1 on Bandcamp
Yes, it
for
was.
hip hop.
Yes, it was.
That's
It's
our
fantastic
buddy,
radio.
Too Mellow.
Too
Check
Mellow.
him out.
Check out his album. so in addition to like quote unquote professional guys, there's also like mom and pop shops that sell like all kinds of Japanese games, hard to find games, systems, like anything retro. One guy had like those old ColecoVision tabletop
Yeah.
systems and things, all excuse me, all kinds of merchandise. Like,
Now, are the prices fair? Like, because sometimes when you go to these conventions, you always run to the tables that have various, like, at least for comic book conventions, right? Everybody has, like, I don't know, I'll use Amazing Spider-Man 300, First Appearance of Venom, right? For the same price, like $750, $751, $749. I don't know how much it's worth anymore. But I mean, is it competitive? Like, or do you ever run into somebody that's like, holy shit, they have a Dragon Force for like $35, which never happens.
No. So
because it's not a flea market.
It's funny enough that you talk about Dragon Force. So I saw Dragon Force there, and old dude wanted $700 for
Jesus.
it.
Those Sega Saturn games are no joke.
Yeah.
Like,
They're not playing around. And the other
find
things.
my copy of Rare Earth.
I don't think I saw Ray Earth. Like Hagan, which is a really rare Super Nintendo game, it was a couple $100. He also had Little Samson, which is he had a good price for Little Samson. Little Samson is a super rare Nintendo game. It is normally $1,200. He had it for $900, so it was a steal. It was like, oh, let me just give you this, and like. I accidentally kind of hurt his feelings, his little feelings. So I was like, "Oh, you have little," and it was like in a case, but not really protected. It's like, "Oh, you have Little Samson. Is this a repro?" He goes, "This is the real version of this game." I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And that's what he told me, $900 versus $1,200. So gaming stuff is really cool. Then you walk to the back, and there's tabletop games, all kinds of like people playing like Magic, people playing Star Wars, people playing.
So it's got the usual like convention setup where you've got sort of like a unit for vendors and you've got a unit for like your tabletop.
But so they don't just focus. I thought you said the whole point of this was to focus on video games.
No. Focus on games, gaming, all gaming. So tabletop games, card games, Magic. Pokemon. People were like selling cards and selling memorabilia and like, you know,
3-card Monty.
Life.
I don't know if I saw anyone playing live, but like, you know, people were selling these things, and then there's table setup where people are actually playing stuff. Like,
cool.
And like, you know, there's the people.
And people will showcase their games there, like new upcoming board games or board games that.
Didn't your brother do that one year? Like set up at one of these shops?
I think so. Yeah, I think he did it at the Lexington. The Lexington Comic Con.
You should probably know. He's your brother.
Yeah,
and he's making a video game. How do you not know that?
Flex Simulator, check it out. So actually that transitions to games that my brother's in. Independent developers are there too, and it's expensive to show off at these type places. It's a couple $1,000 to have a little booth. So these indie, it's not cheap, unlike Lexington Comic Con. But there are a lot of independent games are being shown there. Like I've seen some cool music games. There's a ninja game that I totally fell in love with called The Messenger that will be coming out soon. There's a Skeletak game. There's all kinds of really cool stuff that'll be coming out that I saw at PAX that'll be like really big, and these developers like just showing off their wares and like, you know, trying to find publishers and finding publishers.
You want to showcase at some place like PAX because you have so much foot traffic, unlike the smaller conventions where you have like, you know, 500.
Yeah, but something like that sometimes that gets missed because you have so many people walking around, and these things kind of start. I don't know about you guys, but they start kind of blending in together after a while. Especially when you're talking about independent games. That's why things like that almost stand out more when you go to a smaller convention. And like if there's only a couple of small developers
but the
there.
big names aren't
So
there.
the thing is, exactly what Tina's talking about. PAX South is small enough to where you have enough room where someone will pay attention to you and remember who you are, but it's big enough where it's going to get the Microsofts and the Sonys and the Nintendos wandering around and wanting to pick up your stuff.
Right.
What are some of the coolest things you saw there?
The Omegathon, where they were playing Smash, like a huge game, and they actually had live commentators as guys were playing. That was really cool. Some really cool games. I fell in love with, as I said, The Messenger, which is a very Ninja Gaiden-esque. It starts out 8-bit, and spoilers, turns into a 16-bit game that you're playing. Oh my god, it's amazing! It was
Unheard
really cool.
of.
Unheard of, yeah, it's cool. So if you are a tabletop gamer, they had some cool Star Wars stuff, and like they have like I have pictures of it, forests and trees and like little characters, and it was really cool. I didn't understand exactly what was going on as I was watching this game. I was like, this is so neat, and dudes are flying around with their TIE fighters and things like that. Music, MC Frontalog, he really brought the pain. If you haven't checked out his music, they had some stuff for sale. So it wasn't just him, but there were other like people with their music wares, and actually the pin culture, like people were just really cool, really
so
nice.
you got into pins, man.
Yeah. And the last thing that I saw, which you would definitely appreciate, would be cosplayers. Cosplayers came out in full force. My favorite cosplay was a dude who was in the dinosaur from Super Mario Odyssey wandering around. I thought that was cool. But
do you have a hat?
Yes, he had the hat.
awesome.
He had the hat. But yeah, great cosplay for his League of Legends and some other games I could identify. I also figured out that even though I play games, I need to play more games because half the people were walking around like, "Oh, you're Inuyasha," and like, "Yeah, I don't know who you are. I'm from League of Legends. I can't believe you don't know this." Like, oh,
Yeah,
okay,
League of
sorry,
Legends.
Yeah, dude,
sorry,
if you don't know League of Legends,
you're doing it wrong. So
Overwatch, League of Legends.
Overwatch was the other one. I'm
Yeah.
like, you're that girl that got in trouble because her butt hung out, like, and then the name, which is escaping me right now. But yeah. So all that is to say, Penny Arcade. This is South was the one that I just went to. East is coming up. I'll be there.
When is East? What day is those?
East starts at the first week of April. First week of April
Cool.
in
So
Boston.
it'll be coming up soon.
Yeah. So that's coming up soon, and I'll be there. Wave and say hi to me.
Who will you be representing?
So while I'm there, I'll be representing Gun Media, makers of Friday the 13th, but I'll also be representing Near Mint Condition. So,
Yeah,
like,
My
subscribe,
man.
share.
I did.
Oh, okay. That gets you fast. So that's Penny Arcade. I hope you guys get a chance to come out to one of these things. It's fantastic. Anyone who's into any type of gaming in general, it's a great show.
Cool.
Nice.
Well, thank you for showing us the footage. I just assumed it was up.
Coming down there! So, that's Penny Arcade Expo, PAX. Great time if you're a gamer for classic gaming, arcade games, tabletops, video games, whatever. You gotta make it out to one. In the comments below, tell us your cool PAX experience and stories. Like, subscribe, share. Thank you very much, and hopefully I'll see you at one of them. Whatever. You gotta try and make it out to one. So. I was trying to think what my question is.
Apparently these intros are me just throwing shit.